every fiber of my being is letting me know that this is probably a bad idea. Am I listening to that voice? No. We're making pumpkin pie mead. Okay, like I was saying, this is going against every fiber of my being, telling me this is not going to be a good idea, but we're going to do it anyway. This is just water with just the littlest bit of maybe a quarter teaspoon of sugar. I also did microwave it for maybe 10 seconds just to get it warm because it was cold out of the fridge. So we're doing things a little differently. So for the pumpkin pie, all the research I've done on pumpkin pie brews that people make is that pumpkin is a very delicate flavor. We're going to start by making a traditional mead, which, basically water, honey, and yeast and nutrients. So we're going to start there. We're going to ferment as high as I think we want to get. I'm going to be using an 18% yeast, so we may go that route. I used half a packet on the Jolly Rancher. Might as well use the other half packet on the pumpkin. Quarter teaspoon of Go Firm into our sugar water. It absolutely refuses to dissolve. This is a pumpkin pie mead, but at the beginning, you're not going to see any pumpkin. This is the only pumpkin you're going to see because we're not using this in primary. Because of all the research I've been doing, anyone that puts pumpkin into primary after fermentation is complete, the pumpkin flavor is lost or it's just not there or not as prominent. So my thoughts, we're starting just to make a traditional mead. 3 pounds of honey, little over a gallon of water. Try to ferment to at least between 11 and 13%. When fermentation is done, that is when we will add our pumpkin. That's very important. If you do this recipe, which we'll explain this in episode 2, you do not want to get pumpkin pie filling. You want to get 100% pure pumpkin. Ingredients, pumpkin. That's it. If you do this recipe, just make sure you get the pure pumpkin puree, not the pumpkin pie filling. But before we do anything, before we even weigh out our honey, before we get our water set up, we're going to hydrate our yeast. And not as always, this is a little different. Generally, I use Lalvin K1B1116. Well, today we're using a different strain, Lalvin EC1118, otherwise known as a champagne yeast. So here, like I said, this is our sugar water with our nutrients. We're just going to dump half the packet, which is the rest of this packet. It's going to get set off to the side, and we're going to forget about it and let it do its thing. Since everything has been sanitized, the lid's sanitized, this has been sanitized, everything's sanitized, we are going to put in honey. So let's zero out our scale, and I'm looking for 3 pounds of honey. £3, 0.2 ounces. All right, next step. Now we're going to add our water. I'm probably going to go get some more water because I want over a gallon. So I'm thinking ahead. After this ferments, we're going to be adding almost 3 pounds of pumpkin. This is going to be an issue because this is going to cause a lot of sediment. So let's go ahead and just add our water. And we're going to stir it. And this is what's going to take a while. So I'm going to mix this up and I'll talk to you in just a second. So this episode is probably going to be a little boring for part 1, mainly just because we're not doing much except just starting a traditional mead. And like I said, ingredients are 3 pounds of honey, 128-ish fluid ounces of water, quarter teaspoon of Go Firm, half a packet of Lalvin EC1118, half a teaspoon of Fermate O. That is our last ingredient besides pitching the yeast. So we're going to go ahead and put our nutrients in. I really should have taken my reading before I added that, because it's not going to dissolve like it ever does. As always, we pull our spattle out. I don't have big globs of honey on the end of the spattle part, so that's telling me I'm fully mixed and I'm ready to get my original gravity reading. Very important that you do this step. If you ever homebrew, if the only thing you buy, please get a hydrometer and graduated cylinder. Just get some way to be able to do a specific gravity reading. Very important. Not just to know your ABV, but other processes of if fermentation has stalled, just get a hydrometer. Might as well buy 2 because you're probably going to break the first one you get. This is over a gallon volume. So 3 pounds isn't going to give me what I normally would think it is, but I'm shooting for like 1.100. How about 1.094. So we're going to take note of that. That's almost perfect. There's other things that are going into this batch we're not going to talk about yet. That'll be in part 2. How we're going to back sweet. Totally different way, because pumpkin pie, it's even in the picture, pumpkin pie comes with a topping. At least it should. You should put it on your pumpkin pie, and if you don't, you're a maniac. I don't want to talk to you. We have our original gravity reading. We have everything in the fermenter that we need to have in the fermenter. What's next? Pitching yeast. She is bubbly. This yeast is alive, and it's ready to go to town on the sugars and the honey in this batch. So now we're going to pitch yeast, put a lid on it, put an airlock on it, leave it alone for at least 2 weeks, or until activating the airlock has slowed or minimal amount of bubbles. Then we'll do a gravity reading on it. Generally, I wait 2 weeks, or I'm starting to wait longer. Before I even do a reading, I had a black currant wine 5-gallon batch that sat in primary for almost 2-3 months. It was practically ready to bottle whenever I racked it the first time it was that clear. Anyway, pitching yeast. And that's that, folks. Putting a lid. The lids on these things. I love the fermenters. I really, really do. But man, these lids drive me nuts. And now we're just going to fill our airlock up with sanitizing liquid. Stops all the bugs from getting in. It looks cloudy, but it's because I sprayed it. Throwing the airlock on it. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on all the notifications so you don't miss any updates coming down the line with the pumpkin pie mead. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.